I'm Lynda Kinkade. Good to have you with us. We are following the breaking news on what, by all accounts, seems to be a very scary, dangerous incident involving Britain's Prince Harry, his wife Meghan, and Meghan's mother. Harry's spokesperson says they were all in a near-catastrophic car chase in New York City involving aggressive paparazzi that went on for more than 2 hours. They had been attending an awards ceremony Tuesday night, at which Meghan was honoured. These are images from that event. Royal watcher Bidisha Mamata is with us from London. Good to have you with us. Harry's team put out a statement saying that the couple accepted that there is a heightened level of attention when they are out in public. But this chase last night, they say it was near fatal. What's been the reaction there in London?
Shock, horror, dismay, surprise. All of the main channels are covering this because it's so incredibly and distressingly redolent of things that we saw decades back. It's as if the entire chasing, aggressive, invasive paparazzi culture of the 1990s and the 2000s is back again. With Princess Diana, it happened in Paris. And now what, have we chosen a different location? It's happening in New York. It's so affecting precisely because everybody knows this is Prince Harry's worst nightmare. Not just his nightmare for his family now, it's his worst childhood nightmare. This is why they put out such a stark statement. In fact, I thought their statement was very detailed and incredibly controlled in terms of its emotionality. They simply pointed out that these sorts of activities, they lead to photographs that are going to be sold to the media, the mainstream media, the tabloid press. It doesn't matter. They're asking people to think about how images like that were taken in the first place. What's the risk? What's the harm?
Yeah, exactly. And as you pointed out, when you hear those words, near catastrophic car chase with the paparazzi, of course, you immediately think of Princess Diana and that car chase in 1997. And this is one trauma, obviously, that Harry has spoken about in the past and more recently in his book, Spare.
This is so important for him because in his mind, the story he's telling himself is, I lost my own mother, the most important person to me emotionally, in a tragic, violent, horrible way. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it doesn't happen to me again, but also make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. All of his legal actions against the papers and the paparazzi are for everyone. If there's a ruling in favor of the victims of paparazzi, that affects all famous people. So he's carrying the can for so many others who are in the same situation. And yet, of course, we all know that it's very personal to him. Princess Diana's agony, and the thing that we respond to, is the idea that just because you're famous, you're fair game. Is this the price that one must pay to be a woman in public life? Why are we seeing this happening all over again decades later? We're supposed to have moved on as a society. We're supposed to have learned the lessons of the past. And that's why it's so shocking, because to me, this newspaper headline that broke today could have happened in 1996, 2001. We can't go back to this kind of behavior. It's so frightening, a 2-hour chase. And I absolutely believe that statement. The NYPD have not yet released a statement, and they have not come out and contradicted those fundamental details.
Bidisha, if you can stay with me, I also want to introduce Melissa Bell, who joins us from Paris. And Melissa, we were just talking about how this incident takes you back to the death of Princess Diana, who was killed in that car accident while being chased by paparazzi decades ago, back in 1997. Take us through the reaction there.
That's right. It will have been 26 years this August since Harry's mother was killed in that paparazzi chase through the streets of Paris, and most fatally through the Pont de l'Alma. Even today, it is remembered with a memorial. And of course, everybody remembers where they were when they heard. And I think what is so extraordinary all of these years later is that, as you were just hearing, nothing has been learned at all, but also just how fragile Prince Harry finds himself, just as his mother was, with very little to protect him from the intrusive press gaze, almost as if those who had been at the centre of the royal family and then took a step out were all the more attractive to the press, but all the more vulnerable at the same time. It's what happened to his mother, and it appears to be what's happening to him again, of course, with completely different consequences. There was no fatal accident. Neither of them are hurt. We're talking about very different incidents. But of course, it is what he will have remembered and what he's been fearing and talking about for these last few years that is most important to remember, as we imagine what the couple went through for a couple of hours yesterday, being chased through those cars. Just as Princess Diana had, as she tried to leave the Ritz Hotel to make her way with Dodi Al Fayed, her partner of the time, to an apartment where they'd be staying overnight. A decoy card was sent one way to try and fool the paparazzi, and yet a bunch of them managed to track the right car down in which she was traveling with Dodi Al Fayed, chased them, and it was the reckless driving that ensued under the Pont de l'Alma, in that tunnel, that ultimately led to her death, with her pronounced dead just a few hours after the accident as she arrived at the hospital. There's been so much looking back over it to understand what happened, and yet so few lessons learned, it seems.
Yeah, and this near-catastrophic car chase, which is how Harry's team has described it, happened about midnight last night after this Women of Vision event in which Meghan was given an award. And I mean, it's hard to imagine how there was a 2-hour chase through Manhattan in the middle of the city, where traffic there is typically at a standstill. But certainly one of the reasons, to you, Bidisha, the main reasons really, that Harry and Meghan left London was because of that scrutiny by the paparazzi.
Scrutiny is a very diplomatic word, because I think they probably find themselves feeling much more than scrutinized. They probably feel hounded, stalked, harassed. The narrative they're saying to themselves is, oh my God, this terrible thing happened decades ago. A new person has married into the family. We've fled, we escaped, we gave it all up. We've tried to build a new life where, in the new world, America, the new world, where we can be free. And yes, fine, we want to be celebrities in the public eye. That's a completely legitimate aim. There's nothing wrong with that. And yet somehow this thing is still following us. This thing that we tried to get away from is still here with us. Are we going to have to look over our shoulder forever? Don't forget that all the times that Harry and Meghan jointly gave interviews or did their Netflix documentaries and said, look, we feel very vulnerable, we're concerned about our own personal security and that of our family, lots of people scoffed, including people who were really quite sympathetic towards the couple. They said, well, okay, fine, you're rich and famous, but how much in danger can you be? Are you more in danger than the average A-list celebrity? An event like this demonstrates that what they're saying is not the result of paranoia or ego or an inflated sense of their importance. Their worst fear came true, and the strong implication in their statement is that it's just luck that nobody was hurt. Yeah. Not them, not their driver, not any of the people chasing them.
Bidisha, Mamata, and our Melissa Bell first in Paris. Good to have you both with us. We are going to stay on this story in the coming hour. We'll have more detail on this near-catastrophic car chase as it has been described by Prince Harry's team, Prince Harry, Meghan and her mother, in a car chase last night in Manhattan. Thanks so much for joining us. That was Connect the World. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Stay with us for much more news with Christina McFarlane.